right, what is going on? This is episode 468 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Barlow. Over here we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And we're going to continue this talk with the Atlanta Falcons because I already know Georgia Southern has a game coming up with South Alabama. We're going to get into that. Trust me. We're going to do a pregame. We're going to do all of that. But there's a lot going on with the Atlanta Falcons. They made a handful of trades, which at one point I didn't think they were going to do anything. And I know a lot of fans were kind of worried that they weren't going to do anything, but they made a handful of moves that was actually pretty decent. And one was a big move that no one saw coming. We're going to get into all of that. We're also going to talk about Terry Fontenot, how he continues to play chess, not checkers, when it comes to just getting a roster together. Because him and Arthur Smith put this roster together, and they're doing some pretty good things right now. No, it's not everything that we wanted to have, but it's garnered successful results, and who could argue with that? If this is your first time here, welcome. You can find this show on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. I also have a Locals account, which I will have that up and running on Monday coming up. Not now. It's going to be like a week from now. I'm going to work on it more on this weekend, but it's up already. But there's nothing going to be there yet. But I'm just giving you guys a heads up. Over there, if you don't know anything about Locals, it's kind of like where YouTube meets Discord meets Twitter. It's everything in one, where you can do live streams, you can have you can do regular posts, you can do things, and over there it's basically gonna be an extension of what I do here and my other channel, where it's gonna be more interpersonal. I'm gonna have more not gonna say one-on-one, but personal live streams, other posts where we could talk about other things that don't make it to this platform. So we'll get into all of that. So hopefully you guys will check all that out. Also, all the things are down in the description if you want to support, whether it be go on my Twitter, the Discord, the First and Frame Rates, all that stuff is down in the description, so you can check all that out. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into this. Terry Fontenot continued to play his chess, not checkers, and we're going to talk about the 3 moves that the Falcons made, and we're going to go in order from the lowest that I think that made a small impact to the one that made the biggest impact. And we're going to get into those, and I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on them. I want to say right now, I think Terry Fontenot's done a phenomenal job with this team. I mean, and it's one thing we haven't talked about enough. We haven't talked about lately. Because at one point, we were all talking about Terry Fontenot, how they got this draft pick or they got this signing or what they were doing with that person and what him and the coach are doing together. It was a lot of things that they were trying to put together to make a winning franchise. Now, we're not a winning franchise yet. We're still 4-4. You know what I'm saying? We're still, we were 7-10 last year, so we're not a winning franchise as of yet. But you see everything coming into place, and you see the moves that he's making to put things together to have not only financial stability, but draft capital as well. And that's very important. If you just don't know how important that is, we're going to talk about this right now. The 3 trades that he made. First, the Falcons received the 7th round pick for Dean Marlowe. Now, Dean Marlowe has played pretty good for the Falcons, but I guess Terry Fontenot and them felt that it was necessary to move him because of the other guys that they have on the team. There are players that have stepped up and played pretty good. So they cut Dean Marlowe, got a 7th round pick. Not too bad, not too shabby. I kind of like Dean Marlowe. I liked him a lot. I think he played pretty well. But when you have other people that are stepping up, like other defensive backs that are stepping up and doing their thing as well, even though that we had defensive backs that are down, like the AJ Terrells and what's the other guy, Casey Hayward, you had some guys that are out. You still seen the resurgence of a Cornell Armstrong or Isaiah Oliver, D. Alford. Those guys have stepped up. Even Eric Harris played okay last game. So you still seen some type of production out of what you had. So when Dean Marlowe was traded, they got a 7th round pick. Not too bad. Now, the flip that, they turn right back around. I don't know if it's the same pick, because it's a conditional 7th round pick that the Chiefs pick up, and the Falcons pick up Rashad Fenton. Now, Rashad Fenton is injured. He hasn't played for a while. I think the last time he played was the last month on the 10th or something like that. But he had put up some solid numbers. I looked at some of his numbers. We'll talk about that in a second. And this gives us more depth in the cornerback situation. I mean, we got pretty decent safeties, But we are struggling in the cornerback situation. Like I said, the Cornell Armstrongs of the world did step up, but when you have three defensive backs out, you have three defensive backs out. So when you have that situation going on, I mean, what can you do? Unfortunately, you have to go out and get some more depth. And I think Rashad Fenton is going to be okay. If you look at any of his stats prior to his injury, he was very solid. I mean, he had, nine in the game against Arizona. He had 5 tackles, 4 solo, 1 assisted. A game against the Chargers, 6 total tackles, 5 tackles, 1 assisted. In the Indiana game, 5 tackles, 3 solo, 1 assisted. Tampa Bay, 6 tackles, 5 tackles, 1 assisted. And in the Las Vegas game, 2 tackles, 1 solo, 1. So he knows how to get to the ball. So I mean, I'm not. To me, there's nothing here to really, you can just shrug your shoulders on this because he's actually productive. I don't know when he's coming back from injury. He had a hamstring injury, so maybe he's probably under the same situation that AJ Terrell is. But I think AJ Terrell is gonna, they're all gonna be fine. So I'm not too worried about that for the most part. Also, he had a total of in 2022, he had 5 passes defended. Well, he had 20. I mean, in the last 5 games. 20 is that 20? That's for his career. I'm sorry. The last 5 games he had 2 passes defended. I read that wrong. I'm sorry. So that's not too bad. He knows how to get to the ball. I don't know what it looks like when it comes to penalties or whatever, but it is what it is. At 25 years old, you're getting a young cornerback that could probably do some things. And like I said, with all the cornerbacks that we could use, this is right up the alley. We could use more of these guys. It's probably going to open up some moves for Avery Williams to actually be on offense a little bit more. And he played okay on offense his last game. Now, if you also want to talk about the offense, and I don't want to get too far into this, but I've heard that Cordell Patterson is clear to practice, and he'll probably be in the game coming up against the Chargers, which is actually going to be, that's probably going to be a pretty good look when it comes to bringing more guys that are weapons for the offense. Because, I mean, we got so many weapons on offense right now that are actually being productive. You can't really beat that. Now, the last trade I want to talk about is, this is the one. This is a doozy here. This is a big one. Calvin Ridley was traded to the Jaguars. He was as of right now, it's for a 5th round pick for 2024 and a conditional 4th round pick for 2024. Now, I thought it was a 2023 5th round pick and a 2024 2nd round pick, but this is what it is. Okay, here are the conditions of the 2024 4th rounder from the Jaguars going to the Falcons. It stays a 4 if Calvin just stays on the roster. If he stays on the roster, it becomes a 4. It goes to a 3 if Ridley reaches certain incentives. And it becomes a 2 if the Jaguars sign Ridley to a contract extension. So, as of right now, I'm looking at 2 different reports. One saying there's a 2023 5th round pick. The other one saying it's 2024. I'm just going to go with the 2023 because I've seen other places that said it. This is the only place I'm looking on this website saying it's 2024. First and foremost, I'm rooting for Calvin Ridley to do well. Obviously, it's in the Falcons' best interest. But I want to see, but what's going to be interesting if the Jacksonville Jaguars actually keep Calvin Ridley on the roster. It's really interesting because if he's not on the roster, it just stays a 4. But if they keep him, it goes up to almost a 2. I want to know what type of incentives that he's going to reach because I think he's going to make the roster. You look at the receivers for the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is a pretty good pickup for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Whatever you want to say about Calvin Ridley, if he can get out of his own way, I will say that. If he get out of his own way and just play ball, he's going to be fine. He's going to reach those incentives. And I think with a guy like Trevor Lawrence, even though Trevor Lawrence is up and down right now, I think he'll be really good for Trevor Lawrence, and they can actually put some numbers up. And they put numbers up, and Calvin Ridley decides to get an extension after that last year of his contract. It comes a 2nd round pick. Now, when you look at what Terry Fontenot's doing, because I ain't got away from that now, Terry Fontenot has done a masterful job with this. Because first and foremost, I don't think nobody would have probably picked up Calvin Ridley, and he had to make some negotiations to make this happen so Calvin Ridley would be off the roster. That just goes to tell you that they really didn't have any desire to keep Calvin Ridley at all. Because this is like a really peculiar, really different, this is a really different type of trade with incentives. I haven't seen one like this in a long time, if ever. So what you got here is Terry Fontenot say, look, we can get at least a fifth and a fourth, which, to be all honesty, it's not bad. You gotta understand, Tyler Algiero's a 5th round pick. You know what I'm saying? Was it I can't remember who was a 4th round pick for the Falcons. I don't think they had a 4th round pick this past year. I don't think so. But you can get some good talent in the 4th round. 4th and 5th round. Don't get it twisted. The first 5 rounds, you can find some gems. All right, well, really, I put it like this. The 1st and 2nd round are almost like your guarantees. Your 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds, that's where you find your gems at. And in some cases, the 3rd rounder is almost guarantees. But that 4th and 5th round, you can find some gems. And if you look at what Terry Fontenot and company has done these past 2 seasons, they found some really good talent in the 4th and 5th round. Just getting extra picks alone helps. And then you have extra cap space that's going to come off the books because of Calvin Ridley, because of Debo, because of Matt Ryan, because of Julio Jones. Although I think Julio Jones is already off, I'm not sure. But when you get all that off the books, you got $80 million in cap space plus a lot of draft picks. You're talking about a team right now that's probably going to be a problem, if not already. But you're talking about a team that could be a problem in the next 4 or 5, for the next 4 or 5 years, not in 4 or 5 years, but for the next 4 or 5 years could be a problem. It seems like Terry Fontenot's learned from a really good GM in New Orleans. Well, you look at New Orleans now, they're not looking the best, but at one point, our rivals were doing magic with whatever the hell they were doing with the cap, whatever the hell they were doing with talent. But I'm pretty sure Terry Fontenot had a lot to do with picking some of that talent in New Orleans, and you're starting to see some of that over here. I thought Tyler Algier was just a solid 5th round pick, but now the way he's playing, look like he's a steal. You look at D'Angelo Malone, he's looking pretty good. Ebiketie is constantly getting pressure on the quarterback. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do, causing problems for the offensive lines. You look at all these other acquisitions that they got. Troy Anderson has been a phenomenal pickup for the Falcons. Made Deion Jones irrelevant for the Falcons. So Terry Fontenot is doing a really good job of looking 3 steps ahead, while everybody here is looking like 1. Listen, this kid here, Rashad Fenton, don't be surprised if this kid makes an impact once he come off an injury. Because if you look at his numbers, he was not that bad. I don't know if he's a slot guy. I don't know if he's an outside guy. I don't know. But if you look at what he's done, the 2022 regular season, 24 total tackles, 2 pass defenses. He doesn't have an interception, but he's around the ball. You have a cornerback that's not scared to go in there and hit somebody. This is not overall, the Falcons basically stand pat and say, look, we're gonna dance with the woman that got us here. Because so far they're dancing pretty good. They're top of the division. They got a really good outlook ahead of them. It looks like they can make some moves throughout the rest of the season. And then you're just stocking up draft picks. You picked up a 7th and gave away a 2nd. So you didn't lose anything there. Then you get in a 5th and a 4th. You get a 5th and a 4th that could possibly be a 2nd. Could be a 3. You're getting great value here. And everything I talked about with all the other things that he's doing with the cap money and the talent that we already have, this team could really be a problem in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Did I say that wrong? They could be a problem for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. If not, they're a problem already. I'm pretty sure that the Panthers think that the Falcons are a problem. I'm pretty sure that team in Tampa think that the Falcons are a problem. They're thinking the Lord that Tom Brady sack was not a sack, which we all know it was, but that's another story for another day. And to be honest, I don't think the Saints want to see this team again. They stole one from us. Well, we kind of gave it away, but they stole one from us. We'll get that back. I'm not worried about that. We will get that back. But kudos to Terry Fontenot and everybody that's in that office. That front office is doing things, people. And they're doing things the right way, and it looks pretty good. We didn't lose any assets. If anything, we gained something. Hate to lose Dean Marlowe, but he's in a sea of different defensive backs that it was very hard to keep him. Eric Harris, Jalen Hawkins, Richie Grant, D. Alford, Mike Ford, Darren Hall, Matt Hankins, Casey Hayward, he's injured, Isaiah Oliver, AJ Terrell. But you needed the cornerback, so we got another cornerback. Shout out to Cornell Armstrong. He's done very well so far this season. That last game he had was one of the best games I've seen for somebody coming straight off the sideline to do something. You gotta understand, man, when he played again, just look at the stat line. It doesn't tell the tale, but you gotta understand when this happened. In this game, he had 3 solo tackles, none assisted. All 3 solo tackles and 3 passes that were defended. He got in there and knocked some balls away and made sure the other team didn't catch him. What more can you say about that for a guy that's coming straight off the sideline? So at the end of the day, once you get that depth and you turn around and do what you did with Calvin Ridley, get him off the books and get possibly a fourth, third, or a second. That's pretty good. All we have to do now is root for Calvin Ridley. I want Calvin Ridley to get, 1,600 yards next year. I want to see him get 1,600 yards. Go ahead and sign that long-term contract with the Jaguars. You're a Florida kid. You're right at home. Rooting for you, because that helps us. That's all I got to say today. If you like this commentary, hit the like button. Share this podcast. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. All the links are down in the description if you want to join the Discord, talk about Georgia Southern or Atlanta Falcons. And we talk about pretty much everything under the umbrella when it comes to sports. I am opening up a locals sometime this weekend. It'll probably be up by Monday, this upcoming Monday. So be on the lookout for that, where we'll talk about sports and sports gaming. We'll probably talk about gaming as well. If you look at the stuff in the background, I do game as well. So it's going to be a combination of both. And we'll have more like some small posts, some live streams where we can talk about stuff that we don't talk about here, all type of things like that. So hopefully you guys will check it out. And I'll see you guys on the next one. You guys enjoy your Wednesday. And I'll be back with episode 469 on Thursday. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy. Y'all be blessed. Peace.